Hey, Revenue Radio. I'm Mary Grothy, and today we're talking about a new term. I'm so excited about this. Our CMO, Sabrina, brought this to me a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, I think I found something. It really describes House of Revenue well, and it's something that we should dig into. Today, we're talking about growth as a service. Now, we're big on acronyms here. So if anybody knows the House of Revenue acronym, that's already quite questionable. And now we have GaaS as another acronym, also quite questionable. Our team had a good chuckle over it, but really, how do you pronounce growth as a service? I think you have to go with GaaS. So we are a GaaS and excited about growth as a service. So let me tell you more about why this really stood out to us and something that we're going to be passionately, I guess, attempting to rank for from a thought leadership standpoint. We're going all in with our content and thought leadership on growth as a service. And I'm excited to bring it to you today with my interpretation of why it's relevant and how we're going to embrace it in this next season of growth for us. So quick update first and foremost, before we jump into the topic on House of Revenue. If you follow me, Mary Grothy, on LinkedIn, you'll see that I recently posted a photo. We have some new team members that have come on board that I'm very excited about. As we continue on our growth journey, we made the decision a couple of months ago that it wasn't realistic for our revenue teams. And again, that's a CRO and CMO pairing, to have 3 clients. It's a lot. It's too much. We've had that model since 2020. The demands of our clients are just continuing to increase. The work that we're doing is becoming more complex. Newsflash, it's a little bit harder to grow revenue and you've got a rocky economic climate. And so the time and attention that needs to be poured into the clients, we made the decision to go from 3 clients each to 2 clients each. So in order to serve the same number of clients, we had to add 2 revenue teams. So we've added some people to our team here at House of Revenue. We're very excited about. We did change the profile a little bit for CROs, and I'm so pleased to say that we have brought on 3 CROs who are all former CEOs who have scaled companies and exited, and some of them multiple times, and they've joined us as fractional CROs. This is such a dream come true for us to have people sitting in the seat who have been a CEO, who have scaled a company from that perspective, and it's just tremendous, not to mention that they're just lovely people. We are having a lot of fun over here at House of Revenue, and it is such a breath of fresh air. We just had our quarterly meeting last week. It was incredible to have everybody in town. So we are going to be having them on Revenue Radio. You'll get to hear from them in future episodes. I cannot wait for you to hear directly from them and all of their incredible knowledge and how they're going to be giving back to this revenue community through our podcast here. So that's exciting. So go find my post on LinkedIn. Go see who these people are. Go connect with them. And you can stay tuned as we continue to share some good news rolling out from House of Revenue. So let's talk about growth as a service. Growth as a service. Here's what I love about this is in our model, that's what you're buying. We go on contract to help you scale your company. We're not an agency. You don't rent anything from us. We build it all inside of your company. It's your asset. It's as if you truly hired a CRO and head of marketing. We sit in the seat and we build out your infrastructure, your systems, your processes, your team, your tech stack, the strategy. We implement everything and we actually do the work. Now that each revenue team only serves 2 clients each, they're split 50-50, which in the world of fractional is kind of rare. Most fractionals are supporting 3, 4, 5, 6 clients. So it puts them more in the consultant seat versus in the actual sitting in the seat and doing the work, which is what we really believe in. So when we look at growth as a service, typically a company who has a shortage of internal resources in order to get the growth, that's where they would work with a company who offers the growth as a service. So that really related to me when Sabrina brought this to me is hey, we go to work for companies who have plateaued in revenue, and typically that's due to a shortage of internal resources. They don't have a CRO, they don't have a head of marketing, or maybe they have some people internally who have done a tremendous job to get that company through startup scale, but now in the second stage of growth, it's going to take a different team of players and different strategy and different infrastructure. And So you need fresh people in those roles and in those seats. So ultimately, when we're looking at growth as a service defined as, hey, you would partner with a growth as a service company when you yourself lack those internal resources to be able to produce those outcomes on your own. That's a great first step and how we could describe it. But the other thing, I also like to look at velocity and bringing velocity into an organization who's looking to grow or scale. FYI, those are two different things. You can read more about that on our website or listen to a past podcast. I've recorded on this topic multiple times. But for a company that's looking to grow or scale, you might actually have the right internal resources. However, if you want to add power to it and fuel and have different velocity to achieve those outcomes, that's where you could partner with a company who's offering that growth as a service, because there's ability to combine two teams worth of effort and to get to outcomes much quicker. When you look at a growth as a service company, typically you would say, hey, that's not overhead, like long-term full-time positions inside of our company. So we do have some organizations that would look at house of revenue and say, hey, we already have a CRO, we already have a CMO, or we already have these things in place, but we would like to double down. We would like to have someone at this caliber or higher partner with our current internal team to make sure we have the right strategy. We have enough hands on deck to get us through this season where we're looking for fast implementation and not getting slowed down and doing this only by ourselves. In fact, in the last 2 weeks, we've had 2 people come to us that are CROs. And they said, hey, we read what you do, but would you work in partnership with me so that we can accomplish the speed to market that we're looking to achieve? And in both instances, they both very humbly admitted, I can't do this by myself. Well, I can, but it's going to take a lot longer. And so I would like to make an argument for, hey, let's double down on the expense of this seat for a year so that we can achieve 2x, 3x the results that a single CRO would be able to do on their own. And it actually has legs. When I first started having this conversation with the first CRO, I realized maybe we don't market this as well as we should to existing CROs that are looking for the opportunity to work in partnership with a fractional CRO and CMO to be able to supercharge what they're doing. It's always better when you have more people working in collaboration, of course, if they're qualified, experienced, and able to do the work. But I've always been such a lone wolf when it comes to doing work. I've been very independent in my own work. I've talked about this in the past. I was that sales unicorn when I was selling, top sales rep, but I just wanted to do everything by myself. I had partners that I could work with when selling ancillary products. I even had a sales engineer, and whereas I did leverage him from time to time when needed for more complex situations, I just did everything by myself. I didn't even want my sales manager in on my calls. I want to be independent. I'm a control freak. I want to do everything on my own. And I had this mentality that it was better for me to work alone because other people would slow me down. Well, that's what happens when you're not surrounding yourself with the right people. It wasn't until earlier this year when Sabrina, our CMO, stepped into that CMO position and took over for our former COO, when I really stepped into partnership with somebody and realized, wait a second, when you have the right person that you're working with, you can really double down and do twice as much, if not more, because some of that you're able to get multiplication from it. If you're able to do some of the heavy lift components on the front end at a faster pace, then could you not get some of that multiplication in the lagging indicators because you had the velocity? So there is something to be said about having some redundancy and working in partnership with somebody on a single role if you are looking at speeding up the result or having a better quality result. Because if you have the right person in that seat, I can tell you from experience the power of the conversation in collaboration. It's hard when you only have one brain, one filter, one lens. You can task yourself with doing a lot of research and meeting with people on the team in collaboration. But usually if you're sitting in that CRO seat or revenue leader seat, anyone else you're collaborating with may not be a peer. That could be your downline. And those team members most likely aren't at the stage you are in your career. So are you getting the right level of collaboration? Do they have the right level of knowledge and the right maturity and experience to be able to really augment that conversation. So that was fun for me. In fact, I just had one of those conversations this morning and was so enthused talking to a VP of marketing who said, hey, look, I want to potentially step into a CRO role. Well, they're asking me to, but I'm not fully equipped to do that. So I was just looking for fractional CROs and came across you and thought, hey, if I could do this in partnership with somebody, I think that it would be a lot more successful and we would get way better results. I'm like, that is so cool for you to say that and to even open your mind to saying, because sometimes we have pride. Sometimes, I mean, come on. Revenue leaders, I know I've fallen into that bucket. I have such a fear of disappointing people and I want to be a knowledge expert. And so I get so nervous when I don't know the answer to something. So I work so hard to be as knowledgeable as possible and prepared in all situations so that I can be of value to the person I'm interacting with. And I don't think I've asked for help many times in my career. And I think that that has held me back because I wasn't excited about being humble and saying, hey, I might be better if I partnered with somebody on this. I thought that that would devalue me as a person sitting in the seat. And that's really just rooted in pride. And so I just love, like the last 2 weeks, we've got 2 unbelievable revenue leaders raising their hand and saying, I'm being tasked with this role and I want to do it right. So I'm going to ask for some support. I'm like, man, I have a lot to learn from these people. I haven't always been eager to partner with someone or ask for help. So it was really neat to see that modeled and made me really excited. So with that, this is my very high level introduction to growth as a service. As you know, I'm a founder and CEO, but I'm also a CRO at heart. And so I look at this from a 30,000 foot view. We're going to be bringing more thought leadership forward on growth as a service. But from my seat, I'm looking at it from a business model and who the right entities are to partner with somebody who is selling growth as a service. Hope today's topic was fun for you to listen to.